Welcome to my online class. My name is Javeria, and in this session we will learn about laws of multiplication. There are three laws of multiplication. The first is the commutative law, the second is the associative law, and then we have the distributive law. Let's look at each of these in detail. The first law that we will study is the commutative law. Commutative law states that the order of multiplication of numbers is not important. Here, the order in which you multiply the numbers is not important. From commutative law of addition, you can easily recall that the order of addition of numbers was not important, right? If you had 3 plus 5, it should be equal to 5 plus 3, and this is equal to 8. That means the first number plus the second number is equal to second number plus the first number. It did not matter how you added the numbers. Here you added 3 plus 5 and here you did 5 plus 3. Both produced the same result. Similarly, in multiplication, the order of multiplication of numbers is not important. Let's look at an example. Let's consider the multiplication of two numbers. If we have the first number as 2 and if we have the second number as 3. So if we multiply 2 times 3, the result should be 6. And if we multiply 3 times 2, the result is also 6. We can conclude that 2 times 3 is equal to 3 times 2. Okay? Why? Because both produce the same result, that is 6. That's why 2 times 3 is equal to 3 times 2. Alright? So again, we can write that first number times the second number is equals to second number times the first number. Okay, so this is the commutative law of multiplication. Or you can say that let's suppose that the first number is A times another number is B, then it will be equal to B times A. Okay, you can use either this to remember it or this to remember it. This is a shorter version, so you can also use this or you can use this. Alright, let's look at a few more examples. Now consider the multiplication of two numbers 4 and 5. So if you multiply 4 times 5, you will get 20. And if you multiply 5 times 4, you will get 20 again. 4 times 5 is equal to 5 times 4. So this will be equal. Next example is multiply 3 times 7. So if you multiply 3 times 7, the result is 21. And if you multiply 7 times 3, the result will also be 21. That's why we can say that 3 times 7 is equal to 7 times 3. So we can write equal to sign here. That concludes that if you multiply two numbers A and B, then it should be equal to B times A. Here also A times B is equals to B times A. Now let's move on to the associative law of multiplication. Associative law states that the product of numbers remain the same even if you change the grouping of numbers. From associative law of addition, we can recall that if you wanted to add 3 numbers, you can group them together and add them. You can either group 2 and 3 first, perform the addition of 2 and 3, so that 2 plus 3 is 5 and then 5 plus 1 is 6. Or what you can do is you can group 3 and 1. So you perform the addition of 3 plus 1 is 4, then you add 2 to the result. Then 2 plus 4 is 6. So here also in the associative law of addition, you can see that it does not matter how you group the numbers, the end result was always the same. Similarly, in associative law of multiplication, you can see that the grouping of numbers is not important. The product will remain the same. Does not matter how you group the numbers. Let's look at an example. So consider the multiplication of 3 numbers 2 times 3 times 4. Now there are 2 ways to multiply all these numbers. You can write 2 times 3 times 4. And in the first method, you can group 2 times 3. And in the second method, you can group 3 and 4 together. In this one, you will solve 2 times 3 first, and the result will be multiplied to 4. Here, you will multiply 3 times 4, and then you will multiply the result to 2. Now let's solve each of these examples and look at the result. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. Again, in this one, 3 times 4 is 12. So you multiply 2 with the result of 3 times 4. And then 2 times 12 is 24. Here you can see that it did not matter how you group the numbers. The end result, the product of multiplication of the numbers, is the same. That's why you can say that these are equal. So here I can write first number times the second number. If you group them together, then you multiply the result with the third number. It will be equal to the first number multiplied by the group of second and third number. So this is second number times third number. Or you can write A times B times C will be equal to A times the group of B and C. Let's look at a few more examples. The second example is multiply the numbers 3 times 4 times 6. Now if we apply associative law to this example, we can rewrite this by grouping the first 2 numbers, that is by grouping 3 and 4, then multiply 6 with it, and then we can multiply the first number with the group of second and third number. Now let's solve each of these one by one. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 6 is 72. Here we have 3 times 4 times 6 is 24. And then 3 times 24 is 72. Here we can see that these are equal. Again, the associative law has been proved correct. That is, the grouping of numbers is not important. Okay?